our responses change. We are now in the realm of dealing with a stress situation, and if our practice has been successful, choice enters the equation. Stress fatally slows response, and it's been suggested that this is because man has long been the prey of large felines and snakes, and sometimes not moving, freezing like a rabbit in the headlights, would increase our chance of survival. But this reaction can just as easily get us killed. In the martial arts, we work hard at alchemizing the stress response into a preemptive or an intercepting strike. Why wait until you've been hit? Why wait until the tiger has leapt? Often in the martial arts, this involves the taking on of animal fighting forms, such as mantis, tiger, or dragon. But this requires the practitioner to train with extreme states, rather than in a rather complicit paired practice. We must train with intent and under stress, or we will be unable to respond to a real stress situation. The same is true in magic. In our work with Babylon and the Beast, there is a similar shamanic process of embodying these chimeric predator forms. And it's this internal alchemy and control of the endocrine system which can lead to breakdown or madness, or what in Eastern terms is called an awakened kundalini. Sex is often seen as the starting point in working with Babylon, whereas really sex is the ultimate battleground, the final proving place of our alchemical prowess. Starting fires is one thing, harnessing them is quite another. And the practices which we advocate are the short path, and they are the short path because we are running short of time. First, we must accept that we are both behavioural and chemically designed to be apocalypse deniers. This is locked into our flight, fight and freeze responses which we could characterise in internal alchemy by the triad of salt, sulphur and mercury. All are valid responses if we choose to apply them at the right time, rather than going through chain reactions. This means gaining control of what are essentially unconscious physical processes. The purely intellectual development of will is not enough. Physical bodily practice is what is needed. The chemistry behind this is pretty simple. If we're out of control, in a stress situation, the body drops cortisol. This leads to a flood of corticosteroids, which effectively create a short circuit in the brain, blocking the ability for us to link changes in behaviour with desired outcomes. Flexible and responsive behaviour is replaced with a set of automatic responses. The immune system crashes and the body begins to fold in on itself. If you see people in a stress situation, you often see their physicality starts to literally shut down, and this is in essence preparing to be devoured by a large predator. By internal alchemy, we can avoid becoming prey items by extending the level of our control over all stress situations. Meditation is one long-proven technique. So is mastering the adrenal response through an exposure to stress. And I would suggest as magicians that we combine both of these. The challenges here can be sought in mountaineering, as Crowley did, or surfing, or free running, or many other pursuits, if they're carried out with intent, or you can simply settle for being tiger food. If the tiger never actually materializes, but we keep picking up on its heavy scent on the air. Then we enter a state of permanent underlying fear. Our brains become drip-fed cortisol, which permanently change our brain chemistry and our physiology. The rounded shoulders and the jutting neck of Homo urbanus show a body in complete crisis. If you work in an office or you walk past an office, it's worth having a look at the posture of the people within there. You see everyone working on computers? The jutting neck, the rounded shoulders and the slumped posture. All of this is having both a mental and a long-term physical effect on these people. They're turning into prey items. At the same time, the immune system crashes, the sex drive crashes, and then we try and prop it up with painkillers for our bad backs, cocaine for lost sex drives. And this is not the magical body, this is the slave body, hiding within folds of fat and seeking comfort in another double latte. If magic is the art of causing change in conformity with will, then stress is the ultimate enemy of magic, in that it shuts down the possibility of creating change, both in ourselves and in our world. Our society is in essence, and in the southeast we feel very much on the front line of this, a body which is strung out on chronic stress, an entire society that has accepted working as slave labour. We have a helpless population of zombies who are medicating with caffeine and warm milk to make up the cortisol deficit, and through low-level terror, through the Daily Mail, through big-ticket terrorist spectaculars, we're driven to cling further and further to routine. By reinforcing and rewarding this normalcy bias, the sheep have inherited the earth. Opening our eyes to the potential of apocalypse is an antidote to this life as a vulnerable, isolated drone. The utilisation of a system of magic which can alchemize extreme states rather than being paralysed by them. We seek to develop what Colin Wilson called Faculty X, rather than losing our faculties to the X factor. If we want to survive, we must be the still point in the storm, rather than being frozen with fear. We must stop falling and learn instead to jump. We must ride fear like a tiger, or as we prefer to say, a seven-headed beast. The result of this homogenized culture, with its underlying currents of fear, is that the creative and the confused and the just plain crazy flee to energy oases like Glastonbury or Portland or the edges of Scotland or Cornwall, or simply hide in their libraries. But we are not safe in these places from the ravages of time, when the whole world is ending, embittered by the wormwood star. We have already lost more than the third part of trees burned up, witnessed that the third part of the creatures which were in the sea and had life died, and more than the third part of the rivers and fountains of waters become poisoned, as Revelations 8 balefully predicts. There is simply nowhere left for us to hide. But perhaps this is too radical a term. If so, perhaps we could ask ourselves, what are we trying to hold on to? Why are you trying to hold on? This is the beginning of the meditation of pouring every drop of your blood into the grail of Babylon.